bring in Winston Parrish, senior pastor of Trinity Baptist Church in Asheville, North Carolina, who joins us now. And Pastor Parrish just got back from visiting Venezuela. And how would you describe the scale of what you saw there?
Good afternoon, Omar. Thank you for the opportunity to come on and to share. I think the one word that keeps coming to my head is obliterated. Street after street, mile after mile of residential family dwellings that are pancaked on top of each other, that have fallen into each other. And I've been responding to disasters all around the world for 20 years, and I'm not sure that I've ever seen a humanitarian crisis to the level of what we're seeing in Venezuela. It's breathtaking, to say the least.
So tell me about that. I mean, like you said, you've responded to so many crises like these. Why does this one stand out to you in your mind?
I think a lot of it has to do with the area that was hit. La Guaira is a heavily residential area. It's where a lot of the workers that live in Caracas, they live in La Guaira but work in Caracas. It's a lot of day laborers and folks that work blue collar jobs there in Venezuela. And those families have been utterly decimated. The physical destruction is staggering. And I think the only thing that I've ever seen in my tenure in ministry, or maybe the earthquakes in Turkey in 2023 that hit Turkey and Syria, but to the level of devastation and the difficulty of getting aid and supplies to these folks that need it. I've never met such a challenge, and I've never seen such a staggering amount of people who need everything. They've lost everything they have, and most of them have lost a family member, a relative, someone in their home, and it's overwhelming to say the least. And we know now that it's no longer just a rescue operation. We're almost a month removed, but the real crisis now are the people who are sleeping in the streets. As you mentioned in the intro, thousands upon thousands of people who are homeless, and some estimates from partners there on the ground, in one camp, in one makeshift camp in Caracas, 17,000 people just living with whatever they can find. And so our heart is to go and to help. And from what we've seen, there will be years and years of help ahead. It will not just be in the next month or 2 months, but this is decades of work and effort there in Venezuela.
As you've been talking, we've been showing just some of the recent video from La Guaira, but also some of your pictures as well from when you and others were responding there. What would you say is needed most in the region? I mean, you can see the devastation, but what did you get the sense of that maybe people from the outside weren't understanding about what is actually needed there?
I think the fear now is, where do these people go? Where do we house that many people? And obviously food and water, the essentials, hygiene kits, things like that. There's a great influx of that product that has arrived to Venezuela. In 6 or 8 months, there may be more of a need for those items. But for right now, the real crisis is sheltering. Where do people go? Where do we put families of 4 and 5? How do we safely rest them and have a place for them to go? And so that's the effort that we're joining in. That's what we've been asked to do. And we've been given a piece of property there in La Guaira, one of the last pieces of property that's free of rubble. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to establish a safe place for families, for men, women, and children to come and to rest and to find shelter and food and medicine, and even a contact with the government if they're getting assistance from their government. We plan to take a 46,000 square foot tent, same model that we did in Turkey, that our church and ministry did in Turkey and Hatay in 2023, and create a place where they can come and sleep and eat and rest and begin to rebuild their lives. But that is the critical need right now. And we're trying our best. We're just a local church in Western North Carolina, trying our best to raise funds to pay for air cargo and all of the things that take place. But we have the tent, we have the team, and we plan to be back on the ground as soon as possible, helping these folks with a safe place.
It's a reminder that even as some of these stories fade from the immediate headlines, there's still so much work to be done, so much that, I mean, as you talked about, it's going to be years before a lot of these folks or a lot of these areas get back to some semblance of normal. I got to leave the conversation there, but Pastor Winston Parrish, really appreciate you taking the time. Thanks for being here.
thank you for the coverage, and I appreciate the time. Really do.
Of course. And for you all